Hello and welcome to France versus Argentina. Today we're going to look at how Argentina defends Lunar Colony Point B. So let's get started. There are two basic ways to defend Point B. The first is via the high ground, and the second is to set up around spawn. Both are totally valid. Argentina is going to elect to set up around spawn. Obviously that's great because they can fall back and heal, and that's a huge bonus. But you actually do lose something. In my videos, I usually like to talk about how teams can have a strong side and a weak side depending on where they send their flankers to contest and possibly push flanks. And in this particular case, they're losing flexibility. So this area on this side is going to be a permanent weak side with this setup, with this comp. They basically have to avoid this area like the plague. It's not defensible at all, basically. Like imagine, so this tracer, she's going to be using this side as her strong side. If we imagine her on this side, you can just, immediately start thinking, oh, wow, that's horrible. There's like this tiny little door to push through if she wants to go to high ground. And if she doesn't, she has to stay down here. And obviously that's just, that's horrendous. So with the setup like this, very, very difficult to contest this side. So almost certainly you want to abandon it completely. But that's not the end of the world. Like we said, Tracer is going to have a strong side, and Soldier and Zenyatta can contest this pretty well at this distance. They're pretty deadly at this range. So it's a totally reasonable setup. You're just a little bit more static. Yeah, like you just, you can't be very flexible in the heat of the moment. And we will see how that comes into play later. So France is going to set up roughly like this for most of the match. They claim the high ground, and most of this match is going to be decided on how these tracers perform, right? Because their strong sides are mirrored. They're going to be butting heads, and depending on who performs better, who gets better support, that's going to mainly decide how these fights go. And perfectly valid. I would have liked to see France put this tracer down here a few times. I believe they do it once, and we'll go over that. But here, this would have been a little bit more rotational play, right? Where this tracer is going to push forward, this tracer would push forward as well, and we'd have a little bit more of a rotational play. But instead, we're going to get more butting heads, and that's pretty exciting too. So cool. But again, I would have liked to see France do a little bit more poking on this side with Tracer, or just use this side more in general, this weak side of Argentina, because in my opinion they don't use it enough, but they try a few times, and we will go over that. Okay, let's jump into it. Cool. So just a quick recap, so we can kind of see this defense here. We have Zenyatta on the far right, and then the rest of the team just kind of circled and highlighted here. Cool. So right here, you'll see in the middle of the screen, the circle, the pink circle, that's Tracer. She actually comes in. I would have liked to see Tracer go for kind of a deeper flank, but I think in the comms, they probably just decided to just go for a more, a straight up fight. That's actually perfectly reasonable on the defense side. A fight like this almost always favors the team with the spawn advantage, in which case right now it's the defense. So a straight up fight like this, where it's just kind of like there's no flanking going on, it's just head on, totally given the advantage to Argentina here because they have spawn advantage. So this is totally in their favor. A long drawn out fight is perfectly fine. And then on the right here, you'll notice I highlighted Winston. I just wanted to point out that his use of LOS on this pillar is great. France's Winston does something similar with the opposing pillar, but you just can't quite see it because he's kind of out of the out of line of sight. Cool, and the quality is not 100%, so sorry about that. Okay, cool. So you'll see here, just a normal fight, just head on. There was really no flanking, even from Argentina's side. Again, the Tracer just went in and just started butting heads with the enemy. And again, just to reiterate, defense totally happy with a fight like that. So again, from France, we're gonna have to see more flanking, more rotations, just in general, just more of a tactical engagement, if you will. So here, I'm sorry, the quality is not so great. But on the top box, we have 5 members from France, and on the bottom we have Tracer. Again, not a stellar flexible engagement here. It's pretty straightforward, pretty static, and yeah, so we'll let this play. I would have liked to see Klaus be a little bit more aggressive here, but he was waiting for, I think, the enemy tracer to come through that path. So I think what he did was perfectly valid. That being said, I wouldn't have minded if he kind of was a little bit more aggressive in his on that flanking side, but still perfectly valid. Okay, here. We see, this is actually, I believe, the only time we're going to see this tracer from France push this weak side, push Argentina's weak side. And it makes me a little bit sad. But what you'll see here is with this pink arrow, he's going to come this way. This would have been far more effective if he had taken the orange arrows route. He would have been coming from behind, well, more from behind, just like a better angle, more likely to stick a pulse bomb. Instead, he's going to come head on, go for a pulse bomb, and as you'll see in this video, head on pulse bombs, far less likely to work. Pulse bomb from the side or the back, much more likely to stick, and less time for your opponents to react. So we'll see that now. So, I mean, it wasn't a horrible pulse bomb, but again, it's harder to stick from head on to your opponents. Okay, cool. So here we're gonna see in the middle of the fight, just another brawl, right? Like if that engagement, if that pulse bomb had stuck, this would be perfectly fine. But because it didn't, again, unlikely that France can pull this out because on offense you need really clean wins for point B. So this brawl is gonna favor Argentina. France is going to, if we look at the teal boxes at the top, France is going to use their transcendence, and then Argentina will match it. So there's a first transcendence, and there's a second one. So pretty even so far. Again, there's almost no way France can pull this out. And France actually right here disengages, and that's actually a really smart play. The only problem is Diva got demeched. So she's at 46% to getting her mech suit back. So not horrible, but definitely a kudos to disengage here. So I love the disengage. Unfortunately, it was Diva that got demeched. Cool. Okay, so right here, we're going to see Argentina's tracer, Klaus, make a misplay positionally. So you can see he's highlighted here in the middle by this pink circle. Definitely not where he wants to be. He wants to be on that strong side, pushing France away from that side, right? Like trying to, to flank around that side. Instead, he's gonna get kind of sandwiched here. So you can see this orange arrow. France's tracer is gonna push this side, and then and then Argentina's tracer is gonna have to go towards towards his opponents in this, denoted by this green arrow. So not ideal. He's actually going to get punished for this, and he will die. So a big mistake positionally. He probably shouldn't be playing around main. And it's okay to mix things up sometimes, but you have to be very careful. And he needed to have like a backup plan to fall back to his strong side, or at the very least fall back to his team. But instead, right here, you can see right there. So France's tracer is coming from the right side, denoted by the green arrow, coming in hard. And you can see that the pink circle and the pink arrow, that's Argentina's tracer. So Klaus, he's going to get trapped here and die. And actually, the France's tracer coming to flank here coming to collapse actually wasn't necessary because Argentina's tracer will die very quickly. But still, it's actually smart to just make sure and solidify you get that kill. Cool. Cool. So dead. So now Argentina's going to make a pretty cool play. They're going to burn, I believe, sound barrier. And as sound barrier goes through, Winston right here, who's using his LOS beautifully, is going to come in and dive this, I believe, Soldier and Zenyatta up here. Now, it's actually going to work perfectly, and we'll go over that in a second. So he gets the sound barrier, he comes up. So we can see that Argentina, and specifically Winston, have tons of health to work with. So this dive is going to be pretty lethal. Cool. Now, if we direct our attention to the middle of the screen, we can see this green box. I'm not quite sure why France's Diva came up here. It's either because he was at half health, or he was maybe going to get a DM to help protect AKM. Because as you can see, AKM has his tac visor. So like maybe they were going to try to make a play where he just DMs on top of soldiers so that he can get a clean tac visor. But I don't really like either of those reasons. I think he should have actually stayed up here. He also could have just been up here to help deal with Winston. I'm not sure, but I'm not a big fan of this play. I can't quite figure out why he did this, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He came up here for some reason. And this is the coolest part of this play. So you can see that on if you look at the orange box on the top right, France just used sound barrier, but at the same time sound barrier clicked through, Argentina's Winston actually booped Soldier, out of line of sight so that he couldn't get close to the ledge to actually get that sound barrier. And he pushes him off, and he actually will kill him. So super cool play. Obviously, I don't think this was planned, to this level of detail, but from Argentina's side, definitely a good play from the sound barrier and the dive from Winston. So very, very solid. This Winston player puts in a ton of work on Argentina's side throughout this match. Cool. And then we'll see Leviathan here. So in this green box, Argentina's Soldier, he's going to burn Tac Visor, which I think is perfectly reasonable because if we look at the kill feed, Argentina's still down a man. So for another like five-ish seconds. So, they're burning the sound barrier. The sound barrier was then matched by France. So, it's okay to burn this extra Tac Visor just to secure it because, again, you're down a man, and so far the ultimates are even. So perfectly reasonable. Very, very good. Cool. So there goes Soldier. He's dead. Excuse me. Cool. So right here, you're going to see a pretty big misplay by Argentina's diva. As you can see in the middle of the screen, she's going in deep, and actually, I'm not sure if it was a mechanical error, but she actually goes down onto the first floor. I think she misses it. So I'm not quite sure what the plan was here, but definitely goes far too deep. This diva could have actually waited by these pillars or by this truck, created space, keep the LOS going. Keep blocking LOS and then, jump into the fight as needed. But diva goes in way too hard, and then as you can see with the orange box, he's gonna get melted, and then he's gonna have to burn his mech, his ultimate to get mech back. So we'll see that in a second. And then again here, so really quick, so we're gonna see Tracer in the middle of the screen use Pulse Bomb on this Winston. I think it's reasonable considering that Pulse Bomb comes back so quickly. So I think this is an okay play. And the fight isn't totally secured yet because Winston just died. So I think at this point it's still technically a 5v5. So I think this Pulse Bomb's fine. However, as we can see on the top left screen, of the screen, the orange box with Diva got melted. Now she has to burn her ultimate to get Diva back because there's no easy way for her to like jump off a cliff here and just respawn. So has to burn this. Because if she doesn't burn it, France actually just disengages, and then for the next fight, Argentina's going to have a baby diva. So very good call that actually this diva did use the ultimate. It was just unfortunate that she pushed so deep and then got killed in the first place. Cool. On the top right of the screen, you'll see Nico use his ultimate as well in a few seconds. I wasn't quite sure why when I first saw the video, but then after this play, he's going to switch to Genji. So I think he was just burning it just because in the comms, they had already decided he was going to switch. Cool. Cool. So there goes, Nico's ultimate. Just, why not? Because you're going to switch. At least that's what I'm guessing. Now it's just cleanup. Cool. So now for this next fight, you'll see Nico. Oh, where is it? It's coming now. There it is. Cool. So there's the Genji switch on the top right. Okay, so right here, Soon makes a bit of a mistake here. I don't think he realized he had Orb of Harmony on him, as you can tell by the the little plus signs and just the fact that his health slowly grows up. And he actually burns Recall here. So pretty big mistake. He actually probably could have just blinked away to health packs and just backed off to his team and just waited for his blinks to come back online. Instead, he burns Recall here. Super critical that he doesn't do this, but he does. And now he's gonna lose this 1v1 with Tracer. Argentina's Tracer is going to come and fight him. As you can see, he has no recall. Almost certainly he loses this, especially since Argentina's Lucio can just come and just be like a extra support, extra cushion for Tracer. So as you can see here with this orange arrow, Soon could have actually just blinked away. He has 3 blinks. He could have just, totally fallen back. Instead, we see a little bit of a disrespect here. He thinks he can take this Tracer 1v1, and he dies for it. So they try the 1v1. He gets the health pack, which is great. Unfortunately, the enemy Tracer has recall, and then Lucio comes to back him up just in case the fight doesn't go perfectly, and almost certainly that's not going to work. So you can see here, kind of how we talked about earlier, where the Tracer with more support is typically going to win, and more likely then to win the next fight. And and Lucio was actually the one that burned that recall. So very, very critical that he was able to do that. So awesome play from Argentina's side. They're playing it pretty well. And right here, again, we see France kind of using this style of attack where it's kind of just one angle. You can see Winston on the left, who just dove in from this ledge. Genji's right near him, like on the opponents. Soldiers right here to the right. Lucio's on the ground floor, going towards it. So you can see we're all just kind of like going from this direction. Kudos to Soon, the France's tracer, who's flanking on that left side. But unfortunately, you can see he's getting sandwiched, right? So all of these circled characters are France, and you can see the rest of the characters are Argentina. You can see how Argentina's more, more spaced out in my opinion, a pretty smart manner. So if you can see this green arrow on the right side of the screen, I would have liked to see like Genji and Soldier on that side, kind of pushing that side, or maybe just one of them. Or maybe we could see Genji pairing up with Tracer on that left side, helping her out, and then Soldier on this right side. So, there's more room to work with here, and I feel like France is a little bit afraid to space out, and they're going to get punished for that in a few minutes. So we will see that. Okay, cool. So now again, this is just highlighting Argentina's ability to space out. It's brilliant. It's great. You can kind of see France like dives in, and they're like kind of getting themselves sandwiched, right? So not an ideal situation. Cool. So we're gonna see some ult trading here. Nothing too surprising. Both teams do a pretty good job in general this match of being fairly conservative with their ultimates. We do see some mistakes, but overall it's fairly disciplined. But again, we will see some mistakes. I think we've seen some already in terms of ultimate usage. Cool. So here we have another attack. Let's see what happens here. Yes, cool. This is probably the coolest part of this match. So right here, we're gonna see France's tracer soon be a little bit impatient. He's not going to use his crouch key. He'll use it for a few seconds, and then he's just going to say, okay, screw it, I'm just going in. And that's critical because Argentina's tracer is going to get the jump and start doing damage, and then Soon is going to have to burn his recall. And then he's going to pay heavily for that soon after. So, well, his teammates will pay for that. So we'll see this in a second. So he's crouching, he stops crouching, he runs. Argentina gets the beat on it, puts some damage. He respects, very good for him to respect that recall. To respect the damage and recall, so I love that. And then, okay, so now Klaus has and this is kind of the thing I've been waiting for this entire match, right? I've been wanting to see this style of flank, and we're going to see it, and it's going to work beautifully. So here he's going to push forward. He starts crouching, but it's kind of unnecessary. The opponents are heavily engaged. He's going to use his blink here and get just a super sick pulse bomb. And you can see kind of like we talked about spacing earlier, Zenyatta and Soldier are way too clumped up. They would be better served spacing themselves out, maybe just by like 5 or 10 meters. That's more angles of attack and less likely for something like this to happen. Boop, and they're dead. Awesome play. Now, Argentina makes a silly, silly mistake here. You can see the point is being capped. There's still plenty of time to get on it. Anybody can get on it, especially this tracer. But he kind of tunnel visions. He probably was like too excited, and and obviously when you're playing, with this kind of pressure on you, it's hard to see stuff like this, right? So unfortunately, no one's paying attention to the point, and they get that first tick. So super, super silly mistake, but this kind of stuff will happen, especially at the highest levels when you're representing your country and stuff like that. So definitely, no shade there. It's just kind of heartbreaking that they made an error like that. Really unfortunate. Okay, cool. So now we're setting up for the next fight. What happens here? So yeah, so we still have Tracer on the far right contesting that strong side. I love it. Basically the same style that we've been having before. Excuse me. Still, France is still poking from up here. Now, unfortunately for Argentina, Klaus, he's out of position. So you can see on the far left, that's him with the teal box. He was on his strong side, but it looks like he pushed closer to main, which was a pretty big no-no. So now Genji, France's Genji and Tracer are going to collapse on Argentina's Tracer and punish. So pretty big mistake by Klaus. He got a little overexcited, overextended, and now he's going to pay for it. And it unfortunately kind of dies off screen. But, you can see Tracer and Genji It looks like they were responsible for that. Okay, here, definitely, in my opinion, because you're down a man, needed to see an ultimate from D.Va because she, as you can see, she was low on health, and you wanted to create some more time, create some zones. Totally reasonable. I'm not sure how I feel about the Lucio ultimate. They happened at the same time, so in the comms, they probably weren't communicating. They probably weren't expecting Klaus to die. So, not horrible, and it actually does work out. And for whatever reason, I'm not quite sure how this happens, but we're going to see Necta, Argentina's Winston, is going to kill soon France's Tracer. Okay, cool. So right here, AKM makes a huge blunder. He pops it, as you can see, he's at 99%. He actually just popped his tac visor. And pretty silly considering the zone that D.Va was creating with the ultimate and the sound barrier. So pretty damn big blunder here. He had about a second to react to that. Unfortunately, he pulls the trigger a little too soon. Pretty much no value out of this tac visor. And then as you can see right now, Necta just killed Soon. I have no idea how that happened. It helped that Necta had the sound barrier, but even without it, I think he actually still is able to kill Soon. I looked at this video many times, and I can't quite sure how that happened, but I'm going to assume Soon either didn't have his cooldowns or enough cooldowns, or he, like, you know that thing you do with Tracer where you sometimes, like, blink into a wall because you messed it up? Maybe something like that. So, cool. So, unfortunately, there's not a lot of value out of this push anymore. Soon dying to Winston, and also that not so great tac visor, both allow Argentina to come back pretty heavily. And yeah, so unfortunately that didn't work out for France, but Argentina's playing this pretty well, right? Klaus is doing a pretty good job of controlling this side. As we can see, like on that last push, he got a little overexcited and pushed closer to main before he should have. So mistake there. But, you know, he's kind of hot and cold. Like, sometimes he's making, like, these amazing, brilliant plays, and then sometimes he's going to make some mistakes, as we're about to see right now. So, on this right side, that's Klaus, right? That's Argentina's Tracer. He makes a huge, probably the biggest mistake in this match. So, earlier, we talked about that weak side that Argentina has. He doesn't respect that at all. He actually goes on that side, and I'm not quite sure why he does this. But for whatever reason, he does that, and that's going to make... There's two problems with that. One, he's not going to be effective on that side at all. And two, he leaves this side completely open for Soon to push, like for free. Soon's going to get a kill onto Argentina's soldier, pretty much, I don't want to say for free, but like fairly easily, because again, Argentina's Tracer isn't there. And then we're going to see Klaus, he's going to go for a pulse bomb, but as we talked about earlier, head-on pulse bombs are not going to work. And on that weak side, it's an incredibly hard pulse bomb to hit. The one thing you have going for you is that, like, it's kind of narrow, right? Like when you're up there. But again, that's your weak side. Your opponents can see you coming from a mile away. Head-on pulse bombs, just not likely to stick. So let's play this. And then Soon's kind of just like, oh, where's Klaus? Oh, okay, I guess he's not here. So as you can see, you know, this pink arrow, free space to just rain, right? On this right side, we have Klaus. He just used his pulse bomb. As you can see on the top left, it's at 0%. So he wasted it. Well, I shouldn't say wasted, but, you know, misused it. Again, much harder on that weak side. And he's going to have to burn his recall. So he's in a really bad position. He's going to be so effective on that side. Whereas Soon is going to put in so much work on this side. And then as you can see, with the orange boxes, France has an ultimate advantage, but nothing to just say like, oh, you know, they won this because they were like, you know, up on ultimates like 6-1 or something. So as you can see, Necta's about to get his in like a second or two. Nox has his. So really the advantage here is transcendence. And you know, and you could say that France has two ultimates coming up pretty soon. But in my opinion, not quite the reason that they win this. And you know, and to just kind of counter that, it's kind of blocked by the box, but Argentina's soldiers at 64% to tac visor. So also, you know, somewhat close. Obviously not as close as Wins and Soon, but still. Okay, let's keep this going. So as you can see, he's totally ineffective on this side. Just cannot put in the same kind of work he was on the other side. Now here we see Argentina's soldier is dead because Soon was able to just get in there. The soldier probably got discorded and maybe even ate some extra shots. Soon cleans up. Now here, this makes me really happy. We see on France, they're finally using this side, this flank. I love it. He's gonna push. He's basically gonna stuff Argentina's defense further into the spawn. It's awesome. Klaus has to come back. And I'm not quite sure why AKM left this high ground, or rather left this pillar. I think he could have used it to LOS and to put out damage. But I'm going to assume he fell back for a really good reason. And then at this point, it's pretty much just cleanup, right? Like when you get a really important pick like that on the soldier, much easier to engage onto this, especially with soon having a clean flank. AKM on the other side, everyone else pushes up the middle, and boom, you have a pretty I don't want to say easy, but a fairly open defense, or rather a defense that's rather open that you can punish. So that's the end of the video. I hope it was educational. If you liked it, please subscribe. Thank you.